Betrayed at 40. The extraordinary journey of a successful woman, blank, underscore, blank. At 40 years old, she had built a life others envy. A thriving career in healthcare administration, a beautiful home, and a lifestyle of luxury. She was involved, independent, and proud of her achievements. But life has a way of testing even the strongest. And sometimes, the tests come from the places we least expect, from the people we trust most. This is a story about betrayal, survival, and ultimately, transformation. A story about a woman who had everything, lost it all, and discovered that sometimes losing everything is the beginning of finding yourself. But before we dive into the depths of what happened, we need to understand who she was before the storm hit. Because to understand betrayal, you must first understand what was betrayed. Blank, underscore, blank, her with thoughtful gestures. They had built a life together, brick by brick, dream by dream. James worked in sales, corporate software solutions, and he was good at it. Good at reading people, at understanding what they wanted to hear, at building relationships. It was one of the things she had loved about him when they first met. His warmth, his ability to make everyone feel special. Their home was a testament to their success. Not ostentatious, but comfortable. Elegant, the kind of place where every piece of furniture told a story, where the art on the walls reflected their travels, where the kitchen was the heart of countless dinner parties with friends. They were, by all appearances, the perfect couple. The kind of marriage that made other people believe in love. And then there was Lisa, her trusted assistant for 5 years. In the complex world of healthcare administration, a good assistant is worth their weight in gold. Lisa was more than good. She was exceptional. Lisa knew her schedule better than she did. Lisa remembered birthdays, managed conflicts, smoothed over administrative headaches before they became problems. Lisa was the gatekeeper, the organizer, the person who made everything run smoothly. Over 5 years, they had developed more than a professional relationship. They had become friends. Lisa knew about her marriage, her frustrations at work, her dreams for the future. They confided in each other during lunch breaks, supported each other through difficult days. Trust. That's what their relationship was built on. Professional trust, personal trust, the kind of trust that develops slowly, organically, over hundreds of shared experiences. But trust, as she would soon discover, is sometimes a beautiful lie we tell ourselves about people we think we know. Blank, underscore, blank. Making. The kind of thing you glance at, furrow your brow for a moment, and then dismiss as a simple oversight. We all did, don't we? We see something that doesn't quite fit, and our minds immediately rationalize it. Maybe I forgot. Maybe it was that dinner last week. Maybe it was the car maintenance. But then there was another anomaly. And another. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there. Easy to miss in the flow of a busy life, in the complexity of shared finances. Until one evening, when she sat down to reconcile their monthly expenses, she found it. A transfer, not a small one. $5,000, moved to an account she didn't recognize. Her heart rate quickened. This wasn't an oversight. This was something else entirely. She dug deeper, and what she found made her blood run cold. Dozens of transfers over the past 18 months. Some small, some large. Tens of thousands of dollars, siphoned away to an account that didn't belong to them. Gifts. Expensive jewelry from stores she had never visited. Vacations to places they had never traveled together. Weekend getaways at luxury hotels in the city, just 2 hours away from their home. And then, the most damning discovery of all, monthly payments for an apartment lease. An apartment she knew nothing about. The realization crashed over her like a wave. Her husband, James, had been living a double life. And somehow, impossibly, her money, her hard-earned money, had been funding it. But the worst was yet to come. Because as she traced the financial trail, one name kept appearing. One signature on documents. One email address copied on confirmations. Lisa, her assistant, her friend, the person she trusted with the most intimate details of her professional and personal life. Lisa hadn't just known about the affair, she had been part of it. An active participant in the deception. It's one thing to discover your husband has been unfaithful. That pain, as devastating as it is, follows a familiar script. People understand it. There are support groups, therapists who specialize in it, friends who can relate. But this was a different kind of betrayal. This was systematic, calculated. This involved not just her marriage, but her career, her finances, her daily life. Two people she trusted most had conspired together to deceive her. The question that haunted her in those first hours wasn't, why did this happen? It was, how long had she been blind? Blank. Underscore, blank. 3. The confrontation. There's a moment in every crisis when you have to decide, do you retreat, or do you face it head on? For 3 days, she carried the weight of what she knew, strategizing, documenting, preparing. She knew that confrontation was inevitable. But she also knew that how she handled it would determine everything that came after. So she prepared, methodically, carefully, like the administrator she was, she built her case. The day she decided to confront James was a Tuesday. She remembers it clearly. She came home from work early, asked him to sit down, and placed the evidence in front of him. James, I know everything. The money, the vacations, the apartment. I know about Lisa. I need you to look at me and tell me the truth. James, reenactment, stammering, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It's a mistake. I love you. I've always loved you. But love isn't enough to fix betrayal. Love doesn't explain away 18 months of lies. Love doesn't justify using your wife's money to fund an affair with her employee. Her voice. How long? How long has this been going on? James. A year. Maybe 18 months. I don't know exactly when it started. 18 months. 547 days. While she had been working late, attending conferences, building her career, he had been building a secret life. With Lisa. Her voice. Did she know? From the beginning? Was she part of the plan? Narrator. The silence that followed told her everything she needed to know. Confronting Lisa was somehow worse than confronting James. Because with James, there was history to cushion the blow. 18 years of marriage, even a broken one, carries weight. But Lisa? Lisa was supposed to be different. You sat across from me every day. You helped me plan my anniversary dinner. You listened to me worry about my marriage. And the whole time, Lisa, defensive, guilty, it wasn't supposed to happen. We didn't plan it. Things just developed. Her voice. Things just developed? You used your access to my accounts. You helped him steal from me. That's not something that just develops, Lisa. That's a choice you made. Every single day for 18 months. Lisa's resignation was immediate. She was escorted from the building that afternoon, her personal items packed in a cardboard box. 5 years of working together ended in a single day. But firing Lisa didn't solve the problem. It didn't heal the wound. If anything, it made it worse. Because now, sitting in her office, she had to face a terrifying question. If two people she trusted completely could betray her so thoroughly, who could she trust at all? Blank. Underscore, blank. Part 4. The turning point. The first week after the discovery was the hardest. James moved out, or rather, she insisted he leave. The man she had shared a home with for 18 years was suddenly a stranger sleeping in that secret apartment, the one her money had paid for. She didn't cry as much as she thought she would. Instead, she felt numb, hollow, like someone had reached inside her chest and removed something essential, leaving just a functional shell behind. Her friends rallied around her, of course. They brought wine and tissues and righteous anger. They called James every name in the book. They assured her she was better off without him. And while she appreciated their support, their anger, their certainty, she couldn't quite match it. Because alongside the betrayal, there was something else: embarrassment, shame, the nagging feeling that she should have known, that she should have seen the signs. I'm a healthcare administrator. I manage budgets, people, complex systems. How did I not see this in my own life? What does that say about me? It says you trusted the people you loved. That's not a weakness, but it felt like a weakness. It felt like she had been naive, blind, foolish. It was her friend Sarah who convinced her to see a therapist. You don't have to do this alone, Sarah had said. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. Dr. Martinez specialized in trauma and relationship betrayal. She was in her 50s, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense approach that immediately put her at ease. Dr. Martinez, voiceover, betrayal trauma isn't just about what was done to you. It's about the shattering of your reality. Everything you believed about your life, your relationships, even yourself, it all comes into question. And that was it exactly. The right words for what she'd been feeling. Her reality had shattered, and now she was left trying to piece together a new one from the fragments. Therapy became her anchor. Once a week, every Tuesday at 4 p.m., she sat in that office and did the hard work of healing. She talked about the betrayal, yes. But she also talked about herself. About the patterns in her life that had led her here. About the ways she had prioritized work over relationship maintenance. About the signs she had missed, or chosen to ignore. Dr. Martinez taught her something crucial. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. You can't move forward if you're pretending to be okay. So she stopped pretending. She allowed herself to feel the full weight of the grief, the anger, the betrayal. She cried in her car on the way home from work. She rage cleaned her house at 2 a.m. She blocked James's number and then unblocked it a dozen times. But alongside the emotional work, there was practical work to be done. Financial work, legal work. She hired a divorce attorney, a shark of a woman named Patricia Chen who had a reputation for protecting her clients' assets. Patricia, voiceover, you have documentation. That's good. That's leverage. He used marital funds for an extramarital affair. In this state, that matters. They froze joint accounts. They documented every suspicious transaction. They built a case that was airtight. If James wanted to fight, she was ready. But she hoped he wouldn't be that stupid. Something interesting happened during this time. Her work, which she had feared would suffer, actually improved. She threw herself into it with a kind of desperate focus. New projects, new initiatives, anything to keep her mind occupied, to remind herself that she was still competent, still valuable, still capable of building something meaningful. Her colleagues noticed. Some whispered about her personal life. Office gossip travels fast, especially after Lisa's abrupt departure. But mostly, they saw a woman who had been tested and refused to break. By the end of the third month, something had shifted. The numbness was giving way to clarity. The shame was transforming into determination. She wasn't healed, not by any stretch. But she was beginning to understand something fundamental. This betrayal, as devastating as it was, didn't define her. Her response to it would. Blank. Blank. Can't paint and replay conversations about betrayal. You have to be there, brush in hand, making choices about color and form. Yoga taught her to inhabit her body again. For months after the discovery, she had felt disconnected from herself, like she was floating above her life, watching it happen. But in the studio, following the instructor's guidance, she learned to feel her feet on the ground, her breath moving through her chest. She learned that she was still here. Still solid. Still real. At work, she began mentoring young women in healthcare administration. She hadn't planned it, but her supervisor suggested she lead a professional development program for early career professionals. Teaching them became unexpectedly healing. She was honest with them in ways she hadn't been before. She talked about work-life balance not as something to achieve perfectly, but as a constant negotiation. She talked about trusting your instincts. About the importance of financial independence. About building multiple support systems instead of relying on any single person. Her mentees appreciated her authenticity. Several told her she had changed their perspective on leadership, that seeing a successful woman who had weathered personal crisis made success seem more accessible, more human. 18 months after the divorce, she received the Regional Healthcare Administrator of the Year award. In her acceptance speech, she did something unexpected. She talked about failure, about loss, about rebuilding. Excellence isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up with more wisdom than you had before. This past year has taught me that professional success means nothing if it comes at the expense of personal awareness. I'm grateful for this recognition, but I'm more grateful for the lessons that brought me here. The speech went viral in healthcare administration circles. She received dozens of emails from colleagues sharing their own stories of betrayal, divorce, career challenges. She realized her vulnerability had given others permission to be vulnerable too. And she realized, her worth wasn't defined by betrayal, but by resilience. Not by what James and Lisa had done to her, but by what she had done for herself in response. She wasn't the same woman she had been 2 years ago. That woman had been confident but naive. Successful but unaware. Strong but untested. This new version of herself? She was strong in a different way. Not because she had never been broken, but because she had broken and rebuilt herself into something more authentic. Blank. Part 6. Wisdom and Reflection. If you had told her 3 years ago that betrayal would be the catalyst for the best years of her life, she would have laughed. Or cried. Probably both. But here's the truth she learned. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is also the best thing. Not because the betrayal was good, it wasn't. Not because the pain was necessary, it wasn't. But because it forced her to ask questions she had been avoiding. Was she happy? Was she living authentically? Was she building a life she actually wanted, or just a life that looked good from the outside? She learned that trust is precious, but blind trust